Hi guys, Post-Corn here. I upload book recap videos every week, so please consider subscribing if you're going to be interested. Now, depending on the industry that you're in, there would be a certain list of books that you should read. For example, if you're trying to invest, then you should read The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham, which talks a lot about value investing. Or on the other hand, if you're into psychology, then you would read books such as Thinking Fast or Slow by Daniel Kahneman or Predictably Irrational by Dan Ariely. In this video, I'm going to go over a few chapters of a book that every entrepreneur or someone who is thinking about starting a business should read. The book is called 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, which goes over 22 timeless marketing principles for entrepreneurs. The book is mainly about avoiding competition and starting the business in the blue ocean. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Chapter 1, The Law of Leadership. It's better to be first than it is to be better. Most people think that the basic principle in marketing is to convince prospects that you have a better product or service, which is not true at all. Let's say that you own a small market share, but you have to compete with larger, better finance companies. Then the chances of you winning that battle is already very slim. A better strategy is to create a category that you can be first in. For example, if I were to ask you to recall the name of the first person to fly over the Atlantic Ocean solo, I bet that you would have correctly answered that it was Charles Lindbergh. But what if I asked you who the second person was to fly over the Atlantic Ocean solo? It might not be as easy to answer, right? The second person to fly over the Atlantic Ocean solo was Bert Hinkler. In fact, Bert was actually a better pilot than Charlie because he was able to fly faster and consumed incredibly less fuel. But what if you can't be first in a category anymore? This leads us on to chapter 2, the law of category. If you can't be first in a category, set up a new category you can be first in. If I ask you who the third person to fly over the Atlantic Ocean solo was, then you might have an idea that it was Amelia Earhart because she was the first woman to pull that off. The point is that if you didn't get into the people's mind first, then don't give up just yet because you can find a new category that you can be first in. Dell wasn't first to sell personal computers, but it was first to sell computers by phone. IBM was first in computers, but DEC was first in mini computers. So when you launch a new product, the first question that you should ask yourself is not how this product is going to be better than the competition, but what category is this new product first in? Chapter 5, the law of focus. The most powerful concept in marketing is owning a word in the prospect's mind. A company can become incredibly successful if it can find a way to own a word in the mind of the people. Simple words tend to be the most effective. For example, FedEx was able to program the word overnight into the minds of their customers by emphasizing their overnight services. On the other hand, when we hear Volvo, we think of safety. If it's BMW, then it's driving, Heinz, ketchup, Hershey's, chocolate bar, Coke, Coca-Cola. So if you're not a leader, then your word has to have a very narrow focus. But more importantly, your word has to be available inside of your category. Chapter 13, the law of sacrifice. You have to give up something in order to get something. Marketing is a game of perceptions, not a battle over who has the better product or services. So being a generalist is a weakness. The three things to sacrifice are product line, target market, and constant change. In product line, you don't have to keep expanding your product or service offerings. Look at FedEx, who only specializes in overnight shipping, Gap, who specializes in selling clothing for young adults, or Victoria's Secret, who focuses on creating its brand image around sexy undergarments. All of these companies are able to become very successful by specializing their efforts on one product line. Moving on, when it comes to target market, it's not your job to please every customer segment. For example, back in the 1950s, Coke was outselling Pepsi more than 5 times to 1. But the tides turned in the 1960s when Pepsi tweaked one thing that made them dominate the entire cola industry. What Pepsi did was that it sacrificed every other target market except for the teenage market. It did so by sponsoring influencers such as Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie, and Don Johnson, who all of them at that time were appealing to the young adults market. In another example, those original cigarette ads showed both men and women. Advertisers wanted to broaden their market, so they included women as well. But then Marlboro came along and dominated the whole cigarette industry by narrowing its focus to men only. They even narrowed their focus to a man's man, or the cowboy.
Yeehaw!
The final element to sacrifice is the company's constant change. The point is that you don't have to keep changing your strategy every year. Doing so would jeopardize your brand direction along with how customers are perceiving you. So the key takeaway here is that you don't have to change your strategy too frequently. And that's it, guys. I hope you guys have picked up some important information that you can apply to your business or whatever you're doing. Thank you very much again, and I'll see you in the next one.